This is Mac OS Ken.
Analysts eye Apple Vision Pro, changes in store for services and Beats, and hope springs eternal for AFC Richmond. It is Wednesday, the 21st of June, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Use code MacOSKen50 at factormeals.com/MacOSKen50 for 50% off your first box. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Remember the song Things That Make You Go, Here's a note to make you go, from a report in Barron's. Evercore ISI analyst Amit Daryanani wrote in a research note over the weekend that the cost of the $3,499 Apple Vision Pro headset might stop some interested customers from buying. A lower price version could be a strong move for Apple, he said. This and other fascinating observations from Daryanani's upcoming book, No Kidding. Quoting his note, assuming the Vision Pro can achieve about 1% iOS penetration by year 5, about 14 million units, it would suggest approximate revenue and earnings per share contribution of $19 billion and 20 cents a share. If Apple additionally releases a lower-priced Vision product, revenue and earnings per share could show upside to $43 billion, 46 cents a share in total. Now, in case you just woke from a 3-week nap or have no cognitive ability of your own, Barron says Daryanani's not the first guy to think of this. BofA analyst Wamsi Mohan wrote in a note the day after the headset was announced that he figures at least some subsequent versions of Vision Pro will be priced lower in order to appeal to a larger customer set. To his credit, and even at its sky-high price, Evercore's Daryanani sees Apple Vision Pro as a feather in the Cupertino company's cap. The way he sees it, the headset showcases the outsized innovation within Apple and their ability to integrate hardware, software, and services to offer a cohesive solution to consumers. You know, somebody should pay these guys tons of money to think about Apple and write down what they think. Then again, I have seen lots of comments that Apple Vision Pro is way too expensive, as if Apple is not going to lower the price down the line. Maybe portions of the planet do need a Captain Obvious and company. Anywho, BofA's Mohan has a neutral rating on Apple shares and a 12-month price target of $190. Evercore's Daryanani has an outperform rating on the shares and a price target of $210. More you-fix-it green lights from Apple. TechCrunch says the Cupertino crew has added iPhone 14 and M2 Max to its self-service repair program. Announced in late 2021, the piece says the program effectively lets users buy parts and rent tools to fix their devices at home. TechCrunch says the entire iPhone 14 line is now in the self-service repair program, along with the 13-inch M2 MacBook Air and 13-inch M2 MacBook Pro. Just because you can, though, Apple is really not sure you should. Casting fear, uncertainty, and doubt on your self-repair game, the genius bartenders warn. For the vast majority of users who do not have experience repairing electronic devices, visiting a professional, authorized repair provider with certified technicians who use genuine Apple parts is the safest and most reliable way to get a repair. Come on. It's only $1,000 or more. Live a little. Changes announced to a couple of Apple services. Starting off in the App Store, a piece from 9to5 Mac says at least one ad slot is getting more prevalence. According to an announcement from Apple, the new Today tab App Store ad format is both smaller and harder to ignore. More compact than the previous full-height card design, the 9-to-5 Mac piece says it'll be visible as soon as you hit the page. According to the report, a spot that's not sponsored continues to take the first position, but the ad placement is now always above the fold. The new format also allows Apple to make it easier for advertisers to submit campaigns and get approved more quickly. More quickly because there's apparently no art, as the new ad format does not feature visible hero artwork, the piece says. Apple is able to remove some of the approval conditions that were previously required to get an ad campaign approved for the Today tab. Coming soon to an app store near you. 9-to-5 Mac says the new format will go live sometime in July on devices running iOS 16.4 or later. This week's other services shift hits one right between the ears. Apple issued a press release Tuesday announcing changes for Discoverability in Apple Podcasts. According to the release, the app has elevated or will elevate 9 subcategories and charts. Those include books, documentary, entrepreneurship, language learning, mental health, parenting, personal journals, relationships, and self-improvement. Additionally, the release says listeners in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia can also now explore podcasts by language to more easily find podcasts in their native language. Podcast by Language features recommendations for some of the most popular languages in these markets, with support for over 20 languages, including English, Spanish, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. More news in a moment, but first a word from Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit and sponsor of today's show. Does having food delivered seem like an extravagance? It is not with Factor. It's cheaper than takeout and faster too. 10 minutes in the oven or 2 minutes in the microwave and you are enjoying great meals like broccoli cheddar ground beef, creamy Parmesan chicken, or chorizo chili with cumin spiced broccoli and ancho lime crema. I have had each of those, and each of those was fantastic. The ingredients are fresh, never frozen, and they take care with the rest of their business too. Factor offsets 100% of their delivery emissions to your door. They source 100% renewable electricity for their offices and production sites, and they feature sustainably sourced seafood in their meals. Which are your meals? Which I think you're gonna love. Head to factormeals.com/macOSKen50 and use code macOSKen50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50 to get 50% off your first box. Taste what has made Factor America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Get 50% off your first box with code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50. Two big Beats stories today, one of new hardware and one of a new design direction. On the hardware, a piece from Mac Rumors says a new pair of Beats Studio Pro headphones has turned up in an FCC database. Watchers of the Apple subsidiary have been waiting for movement on these for weeks. Though Apple has not acknowledged the cans, the piece says the headphones first showed up in the macOS Ventura 13.4 update back in May. According to the report, code suggested that the Beats Studio Pro headphones would be released in collaboration with Samuel Ross of A Cold Wall, which takes us to the design direction story. Apple Insider cites a report from Fast Company saying that Ross has joined the headphone maker as its first principal design consultant, a new role inside Apple and Beats. Apple Insider says the position effectively gives Ross access to its design teams and resources, as well as its products. Honestly, the whole thing's a bit convoluted. Not only does Ross have a street fashion brand, the aforementioned A. Cold Wall, he's also got his own industrial design company. Additionally, the piece says he's previously worked with Apple on a limited edition Beats Studio 3 wireless release, as well as a version of Beats Power Beats Pro that you can't have. The Power Beats Pro were given to select influencers and not put on sale, according to the report. While Beats has been an interesting playground for brands and designers like Ross to make their mark, Ross seems to see Beats doing the same thing, but bigger. While he sees the way Apple does things, specific, refined, and organized, as a perfect baseline for Beats, he sees the brand's future as bold, confident, and needing to bear some risk. The writer's strike has claimed a victim at Apple TV+. Deadline says Sam Esmail's series adaptation of the Fritz Lang silent movie classic Metropolis has closed down permanently. The production had been on pause for the 7 weeks since the strike began, with production drafts of the show's scripts having missed delivery before the strike began. Basically, it sounds like it was costing production company UCP too much to wait around. Deadline says the company was faced with rising costs related to pushing the start of production, building and holding expansive stages, labor on VFX work, while not knowing when filming could begin due to the writer's strike and the prospect of a potential SAG-AFTRA actors' strike. After evaluating the money spent so far and the risk of going forward, UCP opted to not proceed with the series and notified their partners at Apple TV+. And finally today, bad dads, male friendship, comedy, Amsterdam. If you like the Ted Lasso character Coach Beard, the guy who plays him, Brendan Hunt, or you're curious about the show's prehistory, there is an article in the Los Angeles Times you will definitely want to check out. How did the whole soccer thing happen for Hunt? What's with the show's visits to Amsterdam? Like I say, it's worth a read. Now, if you're only curious about the future of the Lasso-verse, there may actually be one. Asked whether a season 4 of Ted Lasso might actually happen, Coach Beard's real-life counterpart said, Apple CEO Tim Cook came to visit the set one day, and when he had his moment to speak in the middle of the locker room, he said, "Thank you all for all your hard work, and I sure hope there's a season 4. Hunt went on to say everything is on the table now, including nothing. It's been an all-in job for us for so long that we're going to go away for a little bit and take a break, and then we'll reconvene and figure out if something else is going to happen." Personally, I both totally want to see that happen and never want to see that happen. I guess we'll see what happens. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Factor. Use code MacOSKen50 at factormeals.com/MacOSKen50 for 50% off your first box. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.